Hi, I'm Gary DeHart. I am the publisher of Insightful Accountant, and we are here to launch our initial podcast, the Accounting Insiders podcast. And joining me today is Jonathan Bello from 1-8 Solutions. Jonathan?
Good morning, Gary. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
And this is I'm a podcast virgin.
Here we are.
I don't even listen to podcasts that much.
Now you do.
Now I'm going to
at least one.
I'm going to listen to at least one.
To listen to. So tell me a little bit about your practice. Right, so kind of things we want to cover.
Okay.
A little bit about your practice, but actually before that, about you've been in the top 100 for multiple years. One of our award winners, I can't remember which one, but you'll tell.
The Appologist.
Appologist, that's right. Funny stories around that. I'd like to learn a little bit about how you've leveraged the top 100 you have, and the award that you received in your practice, and then tell us a little bit about your practice, a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go through a couple other questions.
Okay. So the getting the top 100 award for me is extremely gratifying. It validated the work and the effort that I was putting in to get knowledgeable in the Intuit product line, and developing a practice that got noticed, and also working with my peers. It was extremely gratifying to get my first one.
That's great. Here from our perspective.
The sixth one is no less gratifying. Okay, getting the QuickBooks online integrations. See, I can't even say. The QuickBooks Online Integrations ProAdvisor Award of the Year was extremely gratifying, and I still have hopes that one day I may be that ProAdvisor of the Year.
Keep working at it, okay. Right?
So, so how does it work in terms of me developing my practice? Well, it is a huge feather in my cap. It says that to people who are looking to work with me, that I've been noticed and received accolades from my peer environment. Because of course, people outside of the QuickBooks ProAdvisor world are not as familiar with Insightful Accountant. Right. But if you explain to them that you're the preeminent online resource for ProAdvisors, then it helps add more credence to it. So I do a lot of network marketing. I actually joined a ProAdvisors group, if you ever heard of them, and that gets confusing because you have ProAdvisor and ProAdvisors.
Oh, okay. I have not heard of that. What is that?
It's a BNI. You're familiar with BNI?
Yes.
Okay. It's more of a B2B BNI. It's very attorney heavy, but there's a lot of other accountants on it, and then you have other service professionals. But the quality of the professionals are in there. So in the Boston area, some of the top-notch law firms and accounting firms are there. Yesterday, I happened to just talk to a gentleman who's in mergers and acquisition for a top firm, and I told him my story a little bit. So in adding that I'm coming down, I got a top 100. We are now connected in LinkedIn, and he may have some referral business for me.
Okay. And so for you, kind of the BNI, it's more referral. You're not looking for direct customers there.
No, I'm looking for referrals. Yes, absolutely. Okay. So it lends a lot of credibility. It also lends a lot of credibility when I'm recruiting people to work for me, and that they feel, because I tend to recruit people who are not as experienced. This way I can train in the way I want my best practices to be, but it adds credibility to them seeing that I've been, again, noticed by my peers.
And then how many people do you have working for you?
Including me, because I am a W-2,
okay.
10 of us. And it breaks down, I have some high-level people, a CPA, another person with a master's. So I have about 4 accountants, including me, about 4 bookkeepers, and then I have a person who is my project manager, and then I have one of the other people is a controller, operations manager. Okay. And then I have another person who, her name is T.U. Ashcraft. You've done emails with her.
Yes.
She's my sales and marketing manager. Yeah. Since the last time we were together, a lot changed and grown with my firm.
Fantastic. So are you all in a single office or remote? I wouldn't think so, considering what our next topic is.
I have always, I've been an independent for most of my life since 19, I have fan clubs. Since 1987, I hung up my first shingle.
Yeah.
I have almost all the time worked for myself. I've been very, I think since then, 3 times a W-2 employee. And this has been going on since 2001.
Okay. So so we started in Cypress County 9 years ago, actually, June 13th, 9 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. And so I've encouraged my boys, and that's really the first time I've ever been independent. So I've encouraged my sons from day one. I'm like, if you can get out of school and let's find a business, get you started in that business. Now, you can learn a lot working for other people, no doubt. I mean, learn a lot, especially for the bigger companies.
Oh, yeah.
Learn things, but it's not as quickly as you'll learn it when you have to hang up your own shingle and figure out, if I don't do X, I don't eat. Right?
That's right.
It makes a big difference.
Yep, absolutely.
So workflow is your thing. Workflow, process development.
Look, I can't take a claim for it. It's Joe's mantra that I took to heart. But being a process-driven firm with a tech stack that's scalable and repeatable, and over the past 2 years, starting with COVID, it was always. I knew if I wanted to grow my firm, I have to be that, because you have to put in tools and everything in place for people to use and use the same way. And then when COVID came around, I really realized that I got to kick this into high gear. And even with that, the time commitment to getting the infrastructure in place, along with doing marketing, operations, production work. I was at hamster on the wheel. But I wasn't getting it to the place that I wanted to be. And then I had some great luck. We brought on Tracy, who was initially a bookkeeper in training, and then I realized all the process management experience that she had, all the project management experience. So I would say these are my holy grails, and she has really been very instrumental in helping me implement them. So the concept is, you can't do it all by yourself. Richard Roper, another person helping along the way, finding that implementer. You really, somebody's
got to own it.
Right? Yeah, somebody's got to own it. I wanted to, I couldn't be it, and I realized it.
That's good. And if you have the right people, I'm terrible with who wrote what books, but right people on the right seat on the right bus, right? And it's critical. And
I got lucky. I really have gotten lucky.
And I think the hard part for business owners, whether it's small business, large business, whatever, some of it's the letting go. And it's not because you don't trust people. It's just a lot of times I find myself, it's easier for me just to do it. And I could take 22 minutes to explain it to you, or I could do it in 5. But where that's so short-sighted is, I'm going to have to do it. It's going to take me 5 minutes every day for the rest of my life.
Right.
Or I could teach you in 22 minutes and never have to do it again.
But here's the thing. If you want to have a business that, I'm 62 years old. At some particular point, I'm going to exit the business. Getting back to another reason why I also have taken on that mantra is having processes in place, having workflow in place is going to increase the valuation of my business.
Right.
And in a conversation with Joe not too long ago, Joe really said, "You're doing the right things." And I was very proud to hear that from him. I said, picked it up from you.
He gets it, right? And just for people who may be listening to this, who don't know all the players, Joe, you're talking about Joe Woodard.
Yes, I am.
Who's with the Woodard Group, in Heights, which is the show that we're at.
Right.
So yes, a little clarity there. So let's a little bit deeper on the workflow and process development. And you mentioned tech stack. So what's in that tech stack?
Oh, good. That's an easy question to answer. currently, my client-facing tech stack is starting off with Dext.
Okay.
One of the versions of QBO, because QBO really is the center of the universe in implementing these tech stacks, and they work more seamlessly. And again, and also a lot of this is disbursement AP focus side. We tend to, most of our clients on the AR side are at least handling the estimate invoicing portion of it. So a lot of that focus is on
Handle it themselves.
Yes, yeah. So the focus on the AP side. So Dex into QuickBooks, Melio for built-in payments, Relay for external payments. They really have beefed up their product since I got introduced to it 3 years ago. We showed it to my team about 2 weeks ago. Everybody on their team thought the same way that I thought about which client could use it in this way. Then on the followed up with the informational side, Tally Street I like a lot because it gives a lot of great metrics that are easy to read and easy to understand.
Tally Street?
Yeah.
And what is that?
Oh, Tally Street is a weekly and monthly sales and AR metrics newsletter. Okay. And they have attachments, work, and some spreadsheets. They were on their own, and they recently were acquired by Right Networks, and they're getting it, and they're here. Brian Sudoff is speaking. Cash flow tool is a helpful tool also. We're working with future cash flow with the client. And then on the reporting side, I like a lot of the built-in capabilities of what's available for the type of information sharing I do with my clients. Okay. I do a lot of trend analysis and some KPIs with them, but mostly trend analysis. Okay. On the internal side, so let's right now our sales process starts with Outlook. Our Outlook is our CRM. We know we need to improve that. We're using Process Street for our initial intake form. So one of the things that I started to build out really early is an assessment process, which is very detailed. It has a static component about the business, workflow component, then research and deliverable aspect, and then finally engagement with the client. So the first part of the assessment is now being sent out to the client as a self-survey. If they don't get through the self-survey, that's what we do in our first appointment. Once we onboard a client, Financial Sense is our workflow management. The way we got into workflow, Financial Sense was Sharam had reached out to me on LinkedIn. He caught my interest. He then referred me to a couple people that were using it. I talked to them. I actually made another contact from that conversation that was helpful in some of the marketing aspects of what we're doing. Okay. And let's see, so we are using internally QuickBooks Time for the costing of what people are doing. We're using QBO with automated sales receipts. And I think that's pretty much it off the top that I can remember.
You said the CRM.
Yes.
Really Outlook, right?
Yes.
Not really a CRM, but
so I do heavy categorizing in it. So I
think it's pretty powerful, right?
Right.
I'm very shallow.
Right.
My use of it.
Yeah.
It sends email, but I know it has a lot of other things it can do. But you find that you can run your practice right now with that as the CRM?
Yeah.
But
yes.
Probably 15 people out here on the show floor who can tell you differently.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And next year I'll bring TU to this so she can go and research that. That would be a good goal for her.
Some great tools, right? Mm-hmm. Certainly, again, with you being workflow and process, the automations that can be built into a lot of these tools. We use Zoho 1.
Yes.
Have you looked at that at all?
Not recently.
Yeah, and again, not endorsing Zoho, it's just what we use.
Yeah.
And they are one of our customers, but that's not why we use it. We were using it long before they were customers. Mm-hmm. But Zoho 1 has about 40 apps that come with a license. And I think like for 7 licenses, I think we pay like $3,500 for the year, something like
Yeah, that's not bad.
that, which I think is very reasonable. And it's, I mean, it's everything.
Yep.
It's the CRM itself.
Yep.
It could be books. We don't use books.
Right.
We don't use hardly any of it because we really focus on the CRM. But it has a campaigns tool.
Yes.
It has a replacement for Zoom, which when we looked at it, we use Zoom. That's just,
Zoom. We use Zoom Phone.
okay.
So everybody gets Zoom, a Zoom phone at least to start. Then they get their own meeting room when they need to set up.
Yep.
Calendly,
Yep.
Slack, our other tools in our tech stack for communication.
Go talk to Zoho while you're here. It's amazing the
Yep.
stuff that they have. Now, I don't know everything about everything in Zoho, but when we looked at kind of I think it was called Showtime or something like that, which would replace Zoom. When we looked at it a year ago, didn't seem like it was quite ready for prime time. But now Val at Zoho is telling me, no, it's a really good tool. So we got to look at it because, again, it's not huge money that we spend on Zoom.
Right.
But if
I'm spending probably about
phone.
what?
We don't use the phone.
Yeah.
We use
So
150, 170 a month, something like that.
yeah, and the phone runs about $11 per person. I taught how to assess a new client and have better engagement and get paid for it. In 2018 here.
Which that'll get people's attention, right?
Oh yeah.
And how to get paid for it.
I had a packed room. It was only 50 minutes. I should have done longer.
Oh, we should talk about that. We should talk about doing, webinar series, whether it's paid,
Absolutely.
however, because
after getting that pinnacle notoriety of the category award, I stepped back from doing a lot of the things that made me notice, the writing and trying to teach.
Right.
And I'm ready to step back in.
But that was also this time when you're building out your workflow and your process, right?
Yes.
So it's,
you can only do so many things, right?
Even if you outsource, you still got to be there.
Yep.
Right? Or not outsource, but delegate.
Mm-hmm.
You still have to take a look at it every now and then. Right?
Yep.
All right. So we talked about your apps, talked about the workflow. We've got you now. We're going to sign you up for 52 webinars over
Yes.
the next year and a half. Focusing down, again, we're going to keep using that term, workflow process expert.
Right.
Sounds like that really has been kind of the key for your practice growth.
Oh, yeah.
And
absolutely.
you've got the process.
And by the way, we're still tweaking things.
Yeah,
okay.
Always have to, right?
We're, as an example, I let Tracy take over some of the training for me because I wanted to see how she did and see if we had everything in place. Tracy has a very good head on her shoulders, but she didn't have enough experience yet. And so some of the rookie things that you would see in accounting and bookkeeping, they were showing up. So that meant I still had to come back and do some more of the onboarding training. So then I can, again, offload it because I know that if you didn't get it right the first time, she'll get it right the second time.
Right.
So
we talked about your practice. I have to look at my cheat sheet.
Yeah, it's all right.
I'm going to completely botch something up now. I'm messing it up here. Hold on.
It's your first podcast, man.
Right. Initial.
We got to work out the kinks.
Yeah, I'm usually sitting in my basement. So it's the biggest challenge in the practice currently. And then let's kind of tie that into kind of closing the loop here. So biggest challenge in your practice currently.
Yep.
And talking to other your peers.
Yep.
What are the steps that they need to look at or be thinking about to get the process and the workflow? Again, because it's not an overnight. You have to have the right tech stack.
Yeah.
How do you decide the right tech stack and how do you implement it? So I mean, that's like a 9-part question. So good luck answering all of that.
Well, let's start with what is the biggest challenge in my practice right now?
Yeah.
Quality control is the biggest challenge. We onboarded 4 new people, including Tracy, in the past 6 months. One did not work out. She got stretched too thin in our own life. We are onboarding. We onboarded 4 new accounting and bookkeeping clients plus a migration client. And so all of a sudden we have all this work coming in. We're trying to get the capacity built out. I was very upfront with people that the people that are going to be working with them are new people, and I'm going to make sure that I stand behind the quality of work that 1-8 Solutions stands for. Recognizing some of this fairly quickly, put a break on new client acquisition. Make sure that everybody understands their work processes, so we're doing good work for our clients is the paramount thing. So if you're growing your business and you're in that position where you have that, are you going to grow the production side and then fill in with capacity, or fill up with capacity and then fill in with production?
It's an investment, right?
Yep. If I was saying to anybody, I would go with the capacity side first.
Just make that investment up front.
Make that investment up, yeah. Make that capacity, because with the economy having been the way it's been, we have a lot of uncertainty in the future. I would still go with that route. It might be a little scary.
Well, especially if you're currently a solopreneur.
Right.
It's like adding a second person, that expense, et cetera. And the time, again, we talked about, you can't just go, hey, here's the job, have at it.
Right.
You got to be there, you got to mentor, you got to kind of carry them through the process. So
absolutely.
There's a lot of steps, but I think that's great. So it's build your capacity.
Yes.
Make the investment.
Yep.
And then, because again, you can go get as many clients as you want. Right?
Yep.
It's not, client acquisition probably not the hard part.
Right now, it's not.
Yeah.
Right now.
It's
and
so where we were was build capacity.
Yep.
And
yes.
then make sure we're trained up, make sure we understand the process. And do you have a workflow? Do you have like a process map? Do you have that mapped out?
Yes.
Where somebody has a document that, if you're out of the office, they can go, oh, that's right, I'm supposed to go A, B, C, D, E.
Tracy is a Visio whiz.
Okay.
Oh my God. It's amazing. It's so great to see the little blocks and the decision trees, because
it's super helpful.
Oh my God. And she needs to train me how to do that. So in case something happens to her,
right,
I can continue to still do that myself. And we're building out our best practices manual too.
Yeah, we have. I told you I went through that Goldman Sachs 10,000 business class, and part of that, one of the weeks, was process.
Oh yeah. And
so you had to kind of identify. I think we identified 3 roles and then made the workflow for those. Well, but job description.
Yeah.
Which we have job descriptions, and like most small businesses, like, what's the job description is just go do the job, right? I mean,
actually, my agreement is somewhat of an employee manual and job description. Okay. So I specify what a bookkeeping level task, what those tasks are, what are accounting level tasks, and so they definitely know what their job is and what those tasks are. Then we're building out the instruction set on, okay, working with decks. Okay, this is here's your decision trees. So absolutely, we're heading that direction.
Yeah, and that can take a lot of time to build it out, but the amount of time it saves over the long run is countless. Right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Any parting wisdom? I think we've shared some good stuff.
Have fun at scaling new heights. Learn from your peers, because there's a lot of good ones here.
Yeah, well, I think that's really good too. And I'll add to that just the point of scaling new heights, right? It is the training. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if it's in this order: training and community. And it might even be reversed. It might be community and you come get the training, because the community is so important, especially with so many small businesses. You don't get that community. It's hard because a lot of us work in our basements. You're remote. I mean, it's hard. You don't have community.
Absolutely. I'm not sure Joe would want to hear this, but I haven't picked up my sessions yet. I am here, for the community, to see people, to learn people, to see the vendors, And
A lot of new ones.
and the classes or the breakout sessions, I'll figure out what I'm going to be doing shortly.
Right. All right. Well, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it being part of your inaugural.
And so, Gary DeHart, and I want to say thank you to Jonathan Bello, 1-8 Solutions, for joining us for our inaugural podcast. Thanks for being here.